Hey, and welcome back to Little Reads. I'm going to be reading The Faraway Tree. I've read the first part of this book, which is called Rick Comes to Stay. I introduced this book last time. Again, the hardback book with the little dash sheet. I'm going to get rid of the dash sheet now. I want to get rid of that because it's going to get in the way. Bring the book back. So The Faraway Tree, as I mentioned last time, this is one of my friend's favorite books from his childhood, and as I said, I thought I'd read it for him, and never read it, as I mentioned. But yeah, again, it's quite a thick book. It takes me a long time to read it, so I'll be scared. But I will get through it slowly but surely. But again, look at that. I'm going to go over the words. There are a lot of words. A little bit intimidating because being dyslexic. But look at that. I like the way that sounds. Brilliant. Okay, so The Faraway Tree. Okay, so we read Rick Comes to Stay. So part 2 is Off to the Enchanted Woods. Okay, it's starting to get dark a little bit, which is quite good actually, because the sun's starting to set here in London, so it's quite nice to have this little dark setting as we're going off to the Enchanted Woods. It's quite fitting, I think. So let's get to the Enchanted Woods. Where is it? Go. Right, okay. Off to the Enchanted Woods. The children ate their breakfast quickly. Mother told them to make sandwiches for themselves and to make a small chocolate cake for the cupboard. Make sandwiches for themselves and to take a small chocolate cake from the cupboard. You can take some donuts too, she said, and there were apples in the dish over there. When you come home, we'll bake some potatoes, not break, bake, bake, I said break, but bake some potatoes in the oven and you can eat them, butter and cheese. Ooh, Mother, we will be hungry, said Joe at once. Let's hurry up with the sandwiches and we want to start off as soon as possible. Now, be home by 6 o'clock, or I shall worry, said Mother. Look after your cousin, Joe. I will, promised Joe. At least everyone was ready. Joe packed the food into a leather bag and swung it over his shoulder. When the four of them set off to the Enchanted Woods. It didn't take them long to get there. A narrow ditch was between the lanes and the wood. We've got to jump over the ditch, Rick, said Joe. As they jumped over, Rick stood there when he was in the woods. What a strange noise the leaves of the trees make, he said. It's as if they are talking to one another, telling secrets. Wisha, 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 whispered the trees. They are telling secrets, said Beth. And do you know, Rick, if the trees have any messages for us, we can hear them by passing our left ears. Oops, daisies. Okay, wishy-washy, wishy-washy, whispered the trees. As they are telling secrets, said Beth. And do you know, Rick, if the trees have any messages for us, we can hear them by pressing our ears to the trunk of the trees. When we Then we really hear what they say. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy, said the trees. Come on, Joe said impatiently, let's go to the faraway tree. They all went on and soon came to the mysterious magic tree. Rick stared at it with great astonishment. Wow, it's simply enormous, he said. I've never seen such a big tree in my life. And you can't possibly see the top. Goodness me, what kind of tree is it? It's got oak leaves, and yet it doesn't really seem like an oak. It's a funny tree, said Beth. It may grow corn and oak leaves for a little while, and then suddenly you notice it's growing plums. Then another day it may grow apples and pears. You just don't know. But it's all very exciting. How do we climb it? Asked Rick. In the ordinary way. Well, we will today, said Joe, because we want to show you our friends who live inside the tree. But sometimes there's a rope. Okay, that's the tree. Okay. That is let down the tree, and we can go up easily with the help of that. Sometimes Moonface lets down a cushion on the end of the rope and pulls that up one by one. He swung himself up into the tree, and the others followed. Rick is a bit After a bit, Rick gave a shout. Wow, it's extraordinary. This tree is growing nuts now. Look. Sure enough it was. Rick picked some and cracked them. They're hazelnuts, ripe and sweet. Everyone had some and enjoyed them. Now, when they had all got up high indeed, got very high indeed, Rick was most surprised to see a little window in the trunk of the faraway tree. Goodness, does anybody live there? He cried to the others. Look, there's a window here. I'm going to peep in. You'd better not, shouted Joe. The angry pixie lives there, and he hates people peeping in. But Rick felt so curious that he had to peep in. The angry pixie was at home. He was filling his kettle with water, and when looked up and saw Rick's surprised face at the window. Nothing made the pixie more angry than to see people looking at him. He rushed to the window at once and flung it open. Peeping again, he shouted. It's too bad. All day and night, people come peeping. Take that. He emptied the kettle of cold water over poor Rick. Then he slammed his window and drew the curtain across. Beth and Joe and Fanny couldn't stop laughing. I told you not to peep at the angry pixie, said Joe, wiping Rick with his hanky. He's nearly always in bad-tempered. Oh, at the tree as if he expected the water to come tumbling down at once. "Come on," said Beth. We'll, we'll come to the owl, and they'll come to where the owl lives soon. He's a friend of Silky and sometimes brings us notes from her." The owl was fast asleep. He looked only awake at night time. Rick peeled peeped in at his window and saw a big owl sleeping on the bed. He couldn't help laughing. "I am enjoying all this," he said to Fanny. It's quite an adventure." The children climbed higher and came to a broad branch. There's a sweet little yellow door with a knocker and a bell. "Rick," cried Rick in surprise, staring at the door, set neatly in the trunk of the tree. "Who lives there?" "Our friend Silky," said Joe. "Ring the bell and she'll open the door." Rick rang the little doorbell and heard it go ding, tingling inside. Footsteps tapped to the door. It opened and a pretty little fairy looked out. Her hair slung around her face like a golden mist. "Hello, Silky," cried Joe. "We've come to see you, and we've brought our cousin Rick, who has come to live with us. He's having a lovely time exploring the faraway tree." "How do you do, Rick?" said little Silky, holding out her small hand. Rick shook hands shyly. He thought Silky was the loveliest creature he had ever met. "I'll come with you if you are going to visit Moonface," said Silky. "I want to borrow some honey from him, and I'll have some pop cake with you. And we'll have fun in the Moonface house." "Whatever's a pop cake?" asked Rick in surprise. "Wait and see," said Joe with a grin. They all went up the tree again. Soon they heard a funny noise. "That's old master, what's his name, snoring," said Joe. "Look, there he is." Sure enough, there he was sitting in a comfortable chair. He's holding his hands folded over his big tummy and his mouth wide open. "How I'd love to pop something into his open mouth," said Rick at once. "Yes, that's what everybody feels," said Joe. "Moonface and Silky once popped some corns in, didn't you, Silky? And what's his name was very angry. He threw Moonface up through the hole in the clouds and put him onto a strange land. There's an old saucepan man," said Beth. He's friends with Mr. What's-his-name. I expect he was gone to Moonface and Silky come, and will be there soon." Okay. As they went up the tree, Silky suddenly stopped. "Listen," she said. They all listened and heard some curious noise. Wishy, washy, sloppy. Oh, okay, I think that's what it is. Coming nearer and nearer. "It's Dame Wash-a-lot. Dirty water coming," yelled Joe. "Get under a branch, everyone." Rick wasn't as quick as everyone. They all hid under a big broad, but poor Rick was quite under when the water came pouring down the tree. It tumbled on his head and went down his neck. Rick was very angry. The owls were sorry, but they thought it was very funny too. Next time, next time I climb this tree, I'll wear my swimming suit, said Rick, trying to wipe himself dry. Really, I think everybody ought to stop Dame Washalot pouring her water like that. How disgusting. Oh, we'll soon get used to it. You'll soon get used to it and dodge the water easily, said John. On the way up to the tree, and and at last came almost to the top. They saw a door in the trunk of the tree, and behind the door came a sound of voices. That Moonface and the old saucepan man, said Joe, and he banged on the door. It flew open and Moonface looked out. His big round brimmed with smiles. When he saw who was visiting there. Hello, 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 he said. Come in, the saucepan man said. Everyone went Everyone went onto Moonface cushion, curious round him. Curious round room. Sorry. Everyone went into Moonface's curious round room, where there was a large hole in the middle of it, which was the beginning of the slippery slip, the wonderful slide that went around and around down the inside of the tree right to the bottom. Moonface's furniture was arranged around the inside of the trunk, and it was all curved to fit the curve of the tree. His bed was curved, and the chairs were curved, and the sofa and the stove. It was old. It was very odd. Sorry, it was very odd. Rick stared at it in great surprise. He really felt as if he must be in a dream. There was somebody very peculiar sitting on a sofa. Okay. It was old saucepan man. He really was a curious sight. He was covered with saucepans and kettles, and he wore a saucepan for a hat. You could hardly see any of him except his face, hands and feet, because he was so covered with saucepans and things. He made a tremendous chatter whenever he moved. Who's that? He said, looking at Rick. This is Rick, said John. Rick went toward to shake hands. Saucepan Man was very deaf, though he did sometimes hear quite well. He nearly always heard everything wrong, and sometimes he is very funny. Click, he said. Well, that's funny name for a boy. Not Click, Rick, said Moonface. Dick, said Saucepan Man, shaking hands. Good morning, Stick. I hope you are well. Rick giggled. Moonface got ready to shout again, but Silky quickly handed him a bag of popcakes. Don't get angry with him, she said. Look, let's all have some popcakes. They are freshly made today. And oh, Moonface, do tell us, what land is at the top of the faraway tree? The land of topsy-turvy, said Moonface. But I don't advise you go there. It's very uncomfortable. Oh yes, let's, cried Rick. Can't we just peep at it? You'll see, said John, giving him a popcake. Eat this, Rick. Popcakes are lovely. Rick put one in his mouth and bit into it. It went pop at once, and made his mouth full of sweet honey from the middle of the cake. Delicious, he said. Can I'll have another. Oh, Joe, please. Let's take our lunch up to the land of topsy-turvy. Oh, please, please, please. Let's see. Okay, so that is the end of that chapter. Next will be the land of topsy-turvy. So I will leave that there for today. So we read another chapter of this book, which is the which is the top off to the Enchanted Woods. Next time it will be the topsy-turvy land, and let's see how it goes. So hope you enjoyed that,